Hey, today I'm going to show you how to take out the gas system on a Browning 2000. This is a 12 gauge semi-automatic gas operated shotgun. Not a whole lot of them out there. Browning actually made this gun from 1973 until 1980, and it says right here on the barrel, made in Belgium, assembled in Portugal. So pretty good gun. You can see the classic Browning lines on it. But it does have a complicated gas system, 7 pieces. If you pick one of these up at a pawn shop and you're kind of intimidated by that gas system, I'll show you how it comes out, how to clean it, and how to put it back together correctly. I got to tell you, if you put that gas system in incorrectly, 2 things are going to happen. One, the gun's going to fire one time and it's not going to work after that. And second, if you do put it back together incorrectly, you're going to damage something, especially the magazine tube. So I'll show you what to watch for on that. So we're going to take it apart, put it back together, and you should have a pretty dang good shotgun. Okay, first thing you want to do, of course, is make sure the gun is unloaded. Put the safety on, lock the bolt back. Gun is unloaded. Next we're going to take off the magazine cap here. Now this barrel and this forearm, they come off as one complete assembly, so just take it and take it off. And we'll separate these 2 pieces and put them off to the side. But this is what you should have on your gun. Say you went to a pawn shop and you bought a gun and it fired one time and it just doesn't work. Well, make sure you have a hole right here, okay? And that's what that should look like. And that's what the end of it should look like. Now this piece here is loose and it will fall out on its own. So make sure you don't lose this when you take the gun apart or when you put it back together. So what we're going to do now, we're going to push out this pin right here. And that you should be able to take that out with finger pressure. Push on the tube a little bit and it should pop out. And if it doesn't, just push it out. It shouldn't be in there too tight. Again, hang on to your system here because it is spring loaded. Pull your pin out and now you can take everything out. And I don't know if we can see it or not. Let me grab a little flashlight. But you have a buffer. You have a buffer right here, a nylon buffer that's held in by this pin. Just take a look at that buffer. And you can barely see it, but make sure that buffer is not busted up or missing. If you need to replace it, you can just, like I said, just pop this pin out. Okay, let's lay these pieces out. And we can take this piston apart. Now you have 7 pieces here, counting the piston bar. Now what you have here, you have the cylinder plug. You notice one end is concave and the other looks like this. Remember, this end goes in first. You have the piston. Again, this hole right here, very important. Make sure it does not go in upside down. You have your piston valve. You have another nylon buffer here. You have the bar guide. This is the piece that this bar actually goes through. Make sure this end goes in first and it lines up with this piston spring. So your whole setup should look like that when you put it back together. Now I can tell you these 2 pieces are made out of bronze. So you do not want to use a wire brush on them, or you don't want to use a steel brush. If you're going to brush it, make sure you use one made out of brass. And just be real careful with this. And another thing, when you clean these parts, do not use gun oil, because when you put all this back together, you want everything nice and dry. So you really want to clean all this stuff up with solvent. And you know what? These guns are at least 30 years old, and there's just no way you're going to get this tarnish off, I don't think, without actually removing some metal, which obviously you don't want to do. But these parts, even though they look dirty, they are nice and clean, and they work as intended. So let's put this back together. We're going to take the piston valve, just drop it in there, put your buffer in, put your bar guide. You can line it up now, although you're going to have to realign it here. And the best way to do this, turn the gun upside down and then slide this up into it. I don't know if I can get a shot of that or not. Let's try it. Might be a little tricky here, but I think we can get her. Take your gun, magazine tube upside down, slide everything in. Again, make sure that piston is going to go in just like that. You can slide this piece on again, concave in. Just remember, this acts as a funnel to catch this pin. And then you may have to take a punch and just line that up a little bit. Now, very important, when you put this pin back in, it should slide in with finger pressure, just like that. Okay? If that pin does not go in, do not take a hammer and tap it in, because if this pin won't go in, that's because the piston is upside down. See, everything's milled a little off center, so it only goes together one way. So again, if you put that piston in upside down, this pin won't go in, and I've seen people actually take a hammer and pound that in, and what they do is they destroy the magazine tube and other parts, so please do not pound that pin in. You know what, that's your piston assembly on the Browning 2000. And you know, real quick, I'm not going to take this gun apart, but if you decide to take it apart, once you get the piston system out, release the bolt. Don't let it slam forward, okay? Just ride it forward. You can bring it back slightly and pull out the charging handle. See if we can get it here. Just like that. Now you're going to punch this pin out right here. Pull the whole trigger assembly out. Just slide it forward slightly and it'll come out. And then you can take the bolt out. When you take this bolt out, just look, as you bring it out, look at how it sits on the action bar here, because it does sit kind of funny. But and then once you put the gun back together, just put your bolt on the action bar, slide it in, put your trigger assembly back in, charging handle slides right in, and then put your magazine or your piston assembly back together and slide the barrel back on. Okay, next we're going to put the barrel on, but before I do that, I want to show you how a gas operated system works. You see this lug on the barrel? You see them two holes right there? When you fire a round, of course you have that pressure build up in here. Some of that pressure bleeds off, and it's going to go right into that hole, which is going to push on your piston, which is going to cause your action to work. So that's how that works. So very important that that hole is not plugged up. So let's go ahead and put the forearm on the barrel, and just slide your tube in there. Just like that. Make sure your barrel's all the way up to the receiver. And there you have it. Oh, one last thing, when you put everything back together, make sure this piece didn't fall out. Put your cap back on, snug her down, and you got one good shotgun you can go shoot now. Alright, that's it on the Browning B2000. Show you a close-up of this port here on the left side. This is where you actually load the rounds, and if you lock back the bolt, put your safety on. If you put a round in here, bring it back a little bit and then release it, it's going to hit the release and automatically load the round. just like that. That gun just loaded that round. It's pretty cool. So take your live round, stick it in there, let it snap back, and then you can finish loading up the magazine. Pretty cool, huh? But really a good gun. I can tell you this gun belongs to my friend, and I can't tell you how many thousands of rounds he's put through this gun. I clean it for him every once in a while. I've never had to replace one part on this gun. So very well made. It just keeps on shooting. But anyways, I appreciate you watching my video, guys, and we'll see you next time.